him, never the other way around. There was a house at the edge of town with peeling paint and a weathered porch swing. Everybody knew the man who lived there, even if they didn't know a thing about the nights he sat alone, or the dreams he buried in the ground. All they knew was if trouble came, he'd somehow figure it out. When old man Carter's barn caught fire, he was first through the smoke and flames. And the river flooded in '93, he pulled 3 children to safety again. When the widow Baker lost her husband, he sat beside her through the rain, never said much, just stayed there quietly until she learned how to breathe again. And every story in that county seemed to somehow include his name, not because he wanted attention, but because he always came. The sheriff called when things got ugly, the pastor called when faith got weak, the farmers called when tractors broke, the lost called when they couldn't sleep. He carried everybody's burdens like they were feathers on the breeze, but nobody noticed the growing weight bending slowly at his knees. His hands looked like old leather saddles, worn down by weather and years. His eyes carried storms nobody asked about, hidden behind half-finished beers. Every Sunday in the church pew, people shook his hand and smiled, and told their children be like him someday. And somehow that always hurt a while, 'cause strength becomes a prison when everybody needs your light. And after years of being the answer, you forget how to ask if you're alright. Nobody saves the strong one, nobody asks if he's surviving too. They just assume his shoulders were made to carry whatever life puts him through. Nobody saves the strong one, they only notice when he falls. But by then he's been breaking for years behind those unshakable walls. His wife used to leave notes on the counter before she passed from a losing fight. Little reminder saying, don't spend your whole life saving everybody else tonight. He kept those notes inside a toolbox beside a faded wedding band, and every once in a while he'd read them and go help somebody again. 'Cause helping others became a habit, the way breathing becomes a need. The town kept taking pieces from him without noticing he could bleed. Years rolled by like freight trains, heavy, loud, and hard to stop. And every sacrifice he made just became another expectation on top. There was a boy named Tommy Jenkins who grew up without a dad. The strong man taught him how to fish, how to drive, how to be a man. Tommy graduated high school, then left for cities far away. He'd tell everybody, I owe my life to him, but he hadn't called in years today. understood though. People leave, that's what they do. Still sometimes he stared at the telephone, wondering if anyone remembered him too. The clock kept ticking through empty rooms. The porch swing creaked in the evening air, and loneliness became a neighbor that was always there. 'Cause strength becomes a language people mistake for peace, and the ones who carry everyone rarely get relief. Nobody saves the strong one. Nobody asks if he's surviving too. They just assume his shoulders were made to carry whatever life puts him through. Oh, nobody saves the strong one. They only notice when he falls, but by then he's been breaking for years behind those unshakable walls. Then came the winter of his 63rd year, colder than anyone could recall. Snow covered the county roads and ice covered everything else, including parts of his heart. Nobody could see. The doctor called it exhaustion. The pastor called it burnout. The sheriff called it too many years of never letting anything out. But none of those words felt right as he sat alone beside the fire, watching flames dance in silence while feeling something inside him tired. Not physically, that would have been easier to explain. This was deeper, like carrying invisible chains. For so long you forget they're there, until one day you can't stand them